and travel, there's a few things you need to understand. First off, I've kind of abbreviated everything by NSP. The first part of this is needs. You need to know what your needs are. There's two components of this, okay? You need to know your needs in terms of money, and you need to know your needs in terms of time. So needs in terms of money, we can look at a few things to determine what you need. First off, to even get anywhere in the world, it depends on where you're gonna start. If you're taking a year off to travel, you could be starting at your own doorstep, okay? So you could just say, I'm starting wherever I live, and I'm just gonna drive off and do whatever, okay? That's great. That means it'll cost you nothing, to go off and start your trip. Or maybe you're gonna rent a Winnebago, right? That's, if you're gonna buy or rent a van or something, that's gonna cost you money. So you have to factor that into your needs. I'm gonna use rough numbers for this, and just as a disclaimer, for this situation, I'm going to assume you don't have a lot, because I don't know your individual case. You might have a mortgage, you might have a car payment, you might have a ex-wife who needs payments every month, you might have kids. Again, whatever those are things you'll have to calculate yourself into your base. But above your base is the stuff I'm going to talk about here, okay? So needs in terms of money, typically speaking, you're talking about a starting cost of $1,000, okay? You want a plane ticket to Thailand, it costs you about 750 bucks. And to get phone service in Thailand or something like that, or in Bali, you're gonna have to pay some money just to get a data plan in these countries. You might have to pay another 50 bucks or so. So there's starting costs to getting situated anywhere in the world. You might need mosquito repellent. You might need shots. You might need vaccinations. There's a number of things. You might need to pay for a visa. So moving to your first place generally requires, some money, wherever that is, if it's Europe or Asia or whatever. So let's say to start, it's $1,000. Now, when you're traveling, here are some rules of thumb to use. And just to give you my experience, I took a year off, I think it was my junior and my senior year, to just travel. And what I did was I traveled a bit of the world. I traveled all around Asia, Southeast Asia mainly. And there have been multiple points in my career where I've taken months off at a time to just travel. And so all of these numbers come from my personal experience in traveling and doing this myself. So if you want to travel on the cheap side, after you've gotten situated, original $1,000, you'll need about $500 per month. I'd say that's the absolute cheapest that 90% of people, I believe, would be willing to go. I'm sure there are people who can talk about how you can spend even less than $500 a month, but generally speaking, I figure that you need about $8 to $10 per night to stay at a hostel or something like that. And you need about, something like, $5 or so per night for food, or per day for food. Because in lots of countries like Thailand or something, each meal is, $2 or so. Now, if you want to travel more comfortably, I recommend about $1,000. If you have $1,000 per month to spend, what you'll get is a little more what I call comfortable travel. You'll be able to spend a little more. You won't have to stay in a hostel. If you have $1,000 per month to spend, you can stay in a cheap hotel certain nights, okay, if you're traveling, that have, like shampoo bottles and conditioner and body wash, so that you can freshen up, a couple times a week. And also you can pay for some nicer meals here and there. But really $1,000 a month gives you more flexibility to travel, okay? If you're just looking to stay situated in one place, with minimal amounts of travel, $500 a month is good. But if you're looking to take a train somewhere or spend more money going to new countries and pay visa fees and stuff like that, that's gonna cost you a little more, okay? So you'll need a little bit more money to do that. And $1,000 a month will allow you to travel throughout, more countries, generally speaking. Now, if you'd like to be a little more comfortable traveling, $2,000 is a pretty good range to be in. If you want to take plane flights to new countries, you know, every other week, or if you want to stay in a hotel or, you know, a motel or something like that, if you want to generally eat what you want, you know, $2,000 gives you roughly $60 or $70 per day to spend. And that gives you, you know, $10 to $15 per meal. And it gives you, you know, 30 to 40 bucks a night, which is pretty reasonable for international travel. It won't necessarily allow you to be in like the first world countries, like hotels in like America or France, but you could travel first world countries like Europe and whatnot on $2,000 a month and stay in hostels. So realistically speaking, if we add all of this up, you know, we can put a range of $500 to $2,000 per month that it would take to travel for a year. And the starting costs of any sort of travel are going to be about $1,000. So above and beyond whatever expenses that I don't know about that you have, that, you know, it could be mortgage, car, I don't know what they are, but I can't calculate your expenses right here, you know. It'll cost an additional $7,000 to $25,000 if you want to travel for a year. Okay, if you want to travel comfortably, it'll be about $2,000. If you want to travel you just want to do it, you want to do it and you don't care how, you know, how grody and, you know, you're staying in hostels every night and you're staying in cheap hostels every night and all that stuff, it'll cost you $7,000 for the year, but it's totally possible. These are good ranges to kind of go between. So those would be your needs in terms of money. Now let's talk about your needs in terms of time. Now your needs in terms of time, this can play a crucial role. For some of you, you may just want to take a year off. You don't want to do any work whatsoever. You don't want to do anything to make a dollar, okay? You don't care about money at all. But some of you may have businesses where you can freelance or you can contribute or you can do something with your work while you're out there. For me, I run an internet business, okay? And I've been running an internet business since 2012, and that's really afforded me, you know, it's kind of the reason. Traveling was the impetus that I started an internet business because it's very easy to travel when you run an internet business. It just, you know, all I need is an internet connection. One thing you might want to consider if you're working a job or you've been, you know, you've had tenure and you're working a job for a long time is maybe what you want to do is you want to work remotely for your company, or you want to do certain projects remotely on a monthly basis. And that's a perfectly acceptable way. You can earn some money, and this sort of situation can allow you to travel literally for life, because as you saw, to live comfortably overseas, you need about $24,000 per year. So working remotely with your job is a really feasible choice. Now, what you need to do is you do need to prepare for working remotely with your job. You need to let your boss know, and it depends on what sort of terms you are, but they could not pay your salary. So you need to, oftentimes, people want to account for, you know, that their job lays them off while they're traveling. But as you saw in our scenarios, if all you need is $7,000 to $25,000, there's a very high likelihood that you can travel indefinitely if you had a remote working arrangement, even if you're being paid half your salary in many cases. So it's a really feasible thing. For me, I can automate quite a number of things in my business, but I'll still need to spend a few hours per week to actually run my business and bring in some money. Now, personally, you know, I have a lot of money saved up, so I could travel anyways. But if I wanted to continue having my business make me money, I'd still need to, you know, focus on automating things. So knowing your needs in terms of time is important. You know, how many hours per week do you need to be working, whether you have some sort of remote work arrangement or whatever. So you want to get your needs down. And also, this is going to go into, we're going to talk about this later, but this will affect some of the other steps. The second step is saving, and you want to save money and you want to save time. Now, it's obvious how much money we want to save. You know, we want to save $7,000 to $25,000. Those are the numbers. Now, in terms of saving time, that's not so obvious. Now, for us, if you are traveling for a year, It depends on what it looks like for you. Again, if your needs in travel are just to not even do anything work related the entire time, then you need all 24 hours a day. But if your needs are that, you're comfortable like me, I'm comfortable spending a few hours per week running my business, but, I want to travel the rest of the time, that factors into things. Let's say I only want to work 5 hours a week. I would need to do certain things in my business to make sure that, I automate certain activities that I'm required for so that I don't have to spend that time managing those activities. So my business runs itself more. Now, there's a number of activities I do in my business. For instance, I do a lot of training webinars. I have accountants and lawyers and bookkeepers and media buyer. I have all these people that always want to talk to me, salespeople, etc. Tons of people always wanted to talk to me. And I would really need to automate a lot of these processes to make sure that, I don't have all these people always wanting to talk to me and always expecting me on these training webinars and yada, yada, yada every single day. Also in my situation, I have mortgages, I have all this other stuff that requires time, So understanding what your kind of basic activities are, my life's a little more complex now, but I'm assuming some of your lives, maybe your life has certain things that you'll need to maintain. You'll need to find ways to save time so that you can reduce the amount of time you need to spend on maintaining whatever it is you currently have. The third step is to plan. And this is the most exciting part, obviously. Once you have saved up the money and you've reduced the amount of time you need to spend in, if you're an entrepreneur or freelancer, or if you were just like, I'm out, you get to plan. And whether it's you go to Thailand or whether it's go to Bali, great places, whether it's you go to Morocco or Brazil or wherever these places are, you want to time around, for me, I have to plan things around where there's going to be good, consistent internet access. Some of the most beautiful areas in the world don't have great internet access. So I need to pick beautiful places that do have internet access, and consistent internet access. That's a big problem with a lot of countries. I also need to make sure, for me, I need to make sure I go to hotels or hostels or whatever that have internet access, not just some sort of like tethered mobile connection. I've been to so many hostels that, they're like, oh, we have internet, but it's like a tethered connection to somebody's cell phone. It sucks. Which is funny. This Airbnb I'm staying in here in Utah, I didn't think it was going to be the same situation, but they have a tethered mobile connection. Their internet is out. But you want to plan around where you're going to be and where you're going to go and what the cheapest routes to get there are. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe to my channel if you want more information on how to work for yourself. And also comment if anything in particular helped you or kind of sparked an idea in your head. Let me know what it was and let me know how it helped you out, and even where you're planning to go. That's really exciting. So hope to see you travel the world. It is the best decision of your life.